Hello everyone, I am Shruti Sharma. I am a verbal faculty with T.I.M.E Pune. So today in this video we are going to discuss about the next exam that is around the corner for us, XAT 2019. So first we will discuss the distribution of questions as they came in XAT 2018. After that we'll discuss in more detail verbal and logical ability, and eventually the cutoffs that XLRI mostly went for last year. So this is how we are going to go about in this video. And after this video, in the next couple of videos, you can expect more information on decision making and on quant and DI. So let's first start with the types of questions that come in XAT. So this bifurcation of questions, distribution of questions is pertaining to XAT 2018. As you can see, there were 26 questions of verbal and logical ability. There were 21 questions from decision making and 27 questions from quant and DI. Apart from this, there was also GK, that is general knowledge, and essay writing in XAT 2018. Now, even this year in 2019, you are going to have the same sections plus general knowledge. But the good news for you is that there's going to be no essay writing. So yes, we can heave a sigh of relief there, as we don't have to prepare for essay writing as of now. We can look at it later on, not before XAT. So we can concentrate all our energies on these areas. Now, when you look at this name, verbal and logical ability, please do not be confused. This is not the same logical ability that comes in CAT, that you study for CAT. This logical ability is not the mathematics based one, it's not the number based one. This logical ability is mainly critical reasoning. So, one area that is going to help you a lot in terms of XAT is critical reasoning, because you do get critical reasoning questions in XAT. Apart from that, your reading comprehension part is also based on critical reasoning, and even decision making is based on CR. So this is one area where you need to focus more when it comes to XAT. Now, what about negative marking? So there is a negative marking for every incorrect answer of 0.25. So there is a penalty of 0.25 for every incorrect answer, 1/4 of the marks. And now there's something else that is unique to XAT. Beyond a certain number of unattempted questions, there's going to be negative marking. So last year it was 8. So you could let go of 8 questions, you can leave them unattempted. But beyond that, there would have been a penalty of 0.05. So now you can do your calculations. Wrong answer minus 0.25, unattempted beyond a certain number minus 0.05. So if you do your calculations, if you're not sure about an answer, it's better to leave it unattempted even though there is negative marking than to mark it incorrectly. Because do some calculations here. Let us assume that you have left 28 questions unattempted. There would be no negative marking for the first 8 questions. Beyond that, there would be negative marking for the 20 remaining questions. But that 20 multiplied by this would lead to how much loss in marks? 1 mark. So you'll be losing all in all 1 mark. So you don't really have to worry much about this negative marking. So as per the XLRI website, the pattern is going to remain the same this year. So you can expect this entire thing this year as well. Also, I suggest, though we know that this is the negative marking that is there in XAT, but at the same time I also suggest you always read the directions very carefully before attempting your questions. To be clear about the questions that carry negative marking, that don't carry negative marking, just read the directions very carefully. Okay, now let us move on to verbal and logical ability in further depth, in further detail. Okay, now let us move on to the distribution of questions as they came in verbal and logical ability last year, and as they are to be expected in 2019 as well. So as you can see here, these were the areas from where questions came in verbal and logical ability. So there were questions from grammar, that is sentence correction. There was 1 question last year, but that does not mean that we have to expect 1 question this year. You might have 1, 2, 3 questions from grammar. There were 3 questions from fill in the blanks, which were mainly vocabulary based, word based questions. There were 2 questions from Perishables and 5 questions from critical reasoning. Now, First of all, grammar. You do have some time right now to revise all your basic concepts in grammar, because grammar, last year the question was not difficult, it was easy. Fill in the blanks had 4 to 5 blanks each, and some questions were indeed difficult. But I would say when you look at a fill in the blank question, when you look at a vocabulary question, especially which comes in the form of fill in the blanks, don't just select or reject it. You'll have to look at the options, you'll have to go through the blanks, because sometimes one word makes a difference. Sometimes because of just one word we are not able to answer a question, and sometimes because of that one word we are able to answer a question. It totally depends on the options. So don't not look at the question, make it a point to at least look at the question and try it out. Perishables, there were 2 questions. Sincerely hope to God that there are more questions on perishables in XAT 2019, because perishables when compared to CAT is easier in XAT as you have options. You have 5 options and you have to answer your question based on the options. So one technique that you should use for perishables, of course, you make it a point to read all the statements, but then look for those 2 statements which provide you with a perfect link. Hypothetically, let us say those 2 statements are C and D, and I feel C and D definitely connect with each other. Then I look for the options that contain C and D in them. You will usually end up with 2 options that contain C and D. Now you have to go through both the options in detail and see which one works better. So that is the way you should proceed with perishables in XAT. And then of course critical reasoning. Throughout the year you have studied a lot of critical reasoning. What I suggest right now is just revise all those concepts. One more thing, if you have been sincere with your critical reasoning, good enough, great work. Even if you have not been very sincere with CR, just take out those handouts now, go through them, because they will help you not just in CR, they will also help you in reading comprehension, as I just mentioned, because RC is all CR based and they would be extremely helpful in decision making as well. So if you have this doubt what to do now, there's only one thing you can do now for XAT. If that's your thought right now, then that one thing has to be critical reasoning. But don't let that thing just be one. I would suggest that you also prepare your grammar, revise vocabulary, do everything. But the most important is critical reasoning. Now, reading comprehension, there were 4 passages of RC last year in XAT, and there was 1 poem with 2 questions. So the poem was only 1. Okay, there were 2 questions in 1 poem. I already told you, you can go through a couple of poetry, pick out previous year's XAT papers, go through some poems, go through the interpretation, and then you will be in a position to attempt these questions as well. And the reading comprehension questions are more application and CR based. One more thing, when it comes to CAT, we always say attempt reading comprehension first, but when it comes to XAT, you'll have to play it smarter. Like if you look at XAT 2018, RC was a mixed bag. Most of the questions were slightly on the more difficult side. They were time taking. So I suggest for XAT that you first attempt these questions. You attempt questions of grammar, vocabulary, perishables, and critical reasoning. And when you are done with these, you can move on to reading comprehension. So that is what I suggest the approach should be for XAT. Now, another thing about XAT that is different from CAT is there's no sectional time limit for each section. So overall, the time limit is going to be 180 minutes this year, wherein you should try and finish off with your general knowledge portion in about 10 minutes. And in the remaining 170 minutes, you should try out the remaining 3 sections, that is English, Quant, decision making. So since there's no sectional time limit, there's also no order in which you can attempt the section. So I suggest that you always start with the area that is your strength. You know, if you're good at Quant, start with Quant. If you're good at decision making, start with decision making, because initial confidence is pretty important to perform better later on as well. So even if you want to attempt 5 questions of decision making, then jump on to English, you can do that. But that is one thing I would try to stay away from. If you have started with one section, finish it, then move on to another section of your choice. Make the choice carefully and smartly. Apart from this, I would also like to reiterate the point that all our time students please go through the critical reasoning material again, please revise it, and also please try and revise the reading comprehension passages given in our handouts. If you have any doubts after going through all the material, you can consult with your center faculty, or you can also present your doubts in the comment section below. We will address all those doubts, we will individually answer to them, or we might make another video addressing them. Okay, now moving on to the cutoffs. To the cutoffs for different programs of XLRI based on XAT 2018. So why am I particularly dealing with this? Because you can see there is a slight difference when it comes to male and female candidates. So overall for BM, XLRI BM, the cutoff overall for both male and female was the same, 94. But individually, girls had some leverage when it came to VA and also to quant. So the cutoff for girls in VA was 75, whereas for male candidates it was 79. In quant also the cutoff for female candidates was 80, whereas for male candidates was 88. There was not much of a difference when it comes to decision making. Similarly, for HRM, the overall cutoff for both male and female candidates was 92, but for VALR, for females, the cutoff was 75, males it was 79, and for QA, females was 65 and males was 70. So that is it from our side for today. We will be following up this video with another couple of videos on decision making and quant. I hope you liked the video and I hope the content helped you. In case of any queries, you can comment down below. So please hit like and subscribe to our channel. All the best for that.